Hey everybody, hope you guys are healthy and safe. So this is the Oppo Find N6 and it is my new favorite foldable phone. I guess that shouldn't be a surprise because I really like the Oppo Find N5 too. And my biggest complaint with the Find N5 really was the fact that the ultra-wide camera for that guy was very weak at 8 megapixels. Well, Oppo has fixed that because the ultra-wide camera here, it's back to a 50 megapixel ultra-wide camera. It's much improved over the last generation. On top of that, the main camera also got upgraded to a new 200 megapixel sensor compared to last year's 50 megapixel camera. So 200 megapixels allowed you to do better pixel binning. But on top of that, that Lumo image engine that Oppo introduced with the Find X9 Pro phones is also here. So you're able to capture photos with better dynamic range and simultaneous parallel computational photography processing. And definitely the cameras here are a step up from the Oppo Find N5, and that was really my only complaint with that phone. Otherwise, the Oppo Find N6 is every bit as thin and light as the Find N5. It measures 8.93 millimeters when folded and weighs 225 grams. So really, when it comes to the form factor and in-hand feel, it is not any thicker or heavier than a conventional slab flagship phone. The battery is also a little bit bigger, although just a little bit, 6,000 milliamp hour compared to 5,800 milliamp hour last year. So with the Oppo Find N6, you're getting a phone with better hardware across the board in a form factor that it's not any thicker and even a little bit lighter. So I haven't even gotten to the Oppo Find N6's, I guess, major new upgrade this year because the battery's bigger, you have a little bit better cameras, but these are all expected changes. The main headline selling feature of the Oppo Find N6 is the display has the faintest and hardest to notice crease I've ever seen. Now Oppo is actually advertising this as a zero feel crease, meaning a crease that you cannot feel. Now I would not go that far to say the crease is absolutely zero, because if you really want to look for it, whether by sight or by feeling, you can still notice it a little bit, but it's very faint and the least noticeable among any crease that I've seen. If the screen is on, you cannot really see the crease even when you look at it from extreme angles. And also when you run your finger through it, you still feel a subtle, like a very minor part of the screen where it goes in a little bit, but really not much. Like really, this is near zero. So anyway, Oppo managed to erase the crease even more than before by re-engineering the hinge from the ground up. The new hinge now is thinner than ever and also uses 3D printing to print out specific parts to fit into the hinge a little bit better. That way it pads up the hinge so the display panel can sit on it a little bit more flush. So this new hinge doesn't just make the screen look better, it is also more durable than ever. Oppo says it's been tested to withstand up to 1 million folds. Now I don't know about that, but what I do know is that the hinge can still stay in place at any angle and it feels very reassuring, almost as good as like a Samsung hinge now, because previously at this angle the screen would like flop close on like a Find N3, but then now that's not the case. Let's talk about the rest of the hardware. So you have a 6.6 inch outer display, a 1 to 120 hertz refresh rate. Obviously it gets up to 3,500 nits of brightness, and also minimum brightness as low as 1 hertz. Minimum brightness is more important to me than maximum brightness because I use the phone indoors at night a lot, or in the bedroom when it's dark. And the dimmer the screen gets, the better it is for your eyes. The inner panel, it's a 8-inch LTPO panel, also 1 to 120 hertz refresh rate, but the maximum brightness is only 2,500 nits, not 3,500. And I do notice under very bright sunlight, the screen visibility isn't amazing, and the screen is also very reflective. I hope the next improvement for foldable phones will be anti-reflective matte coating on the inner display. Like I'm okay with the outer screen being reflective, but the inner screen being such a large panel has reflections that's a little bit more glaring. Both panels also have stylus support, and Oppo's official stylus is called the Oppo AI Pen, and I actually got one for review this year because previously with the Find N5 I did not get a stylus for review. This year Oppo built a really thin case that allows you to store the stylus on the back, and I find it very useful, even though I personally don't like using cases on my phones because I think, you know, a phone's design is so nice, I don't want to slap a piece of plastic on it. But this time I might have to use the case because having a stylus with you is quite handy, especially for a digital nomad such as myself. The stylus supports over 4,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, and I think for the most part it's good. I think clearly the stylus is not as good as as like a proper stylus on a tablet, like if you have an iPad with Apple Pencil or even a Galaxy tablet with an S Pen, those styles are still a little bit more responsive. I see like a little bit of missed strokes sometimes if I'm like trying to sketch really fast, but these are minor complaints for the most part. The chip inside is the newest Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 paired with 16 gigs of the latest LPDDR5X RAM, so performance, it's absolutely no issue. And this phone was even able to pass the 20-minute wildlife extreme stress test. That's a very demanding test that pushes the phone, all the processing to the limits. And sometimes if a phone doesn't have good thermals or a good processor, it will not finish that test. But the Oppo Find N6, I'm happy to report, was able to finish that test with reasonable stability. Alright, so right now I'm on loop 19. You can see the frame rate is still running pretty smoothly at over 30 FPS. The phone isn't even that hot because my hand, see, I can touch the bottom of the phone barehanded like this. Like, there was a while with like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chip 3-4 years ago when it could not finish this test. And also when I ran this test, by like the 10-minute mark, the phone was like too hot to hold. So thermals is really good, especially considering how thin the phone is. Okay, let's take a look at the camera system again. So as I mentioned, there's a new 200 megapixel main camera, ISOCELL HP5 sensor, f1.8 aperture, 1/1.5 inch sensor size. So not the largest sensor around, but for a foldable phone, it's perfectly acceptable. And the shutter is very fast. So you can see these shots that I grab of moving subjects, and I'm able to snap these shots without noticeable blur. There's also a 50 megapixel 3x periscope zoom lens and a 50 megapixel ultrawide camera. Now both of these are using the Samsung JN5 sensor. So this sensor, you know, we've seen it used many times in Oppo or OnePlus phones. It's a 1/2.7 inch sensor, so definitely relatively small sensor. But I find that Oppo's processing is mature and does about as good as you can with this kind of relatively old sensor. I mean, definitely for an ultra-wide camera, you cannot complain at all. The zoom lens is pretty good for still photos because I really think Oppo's image processing has improved significantly in the last few years, particularly with the color profiles that you can put on to kind of give photos a little bit more of like a mood and a vibe. I really like these shots that I was able to get with the 3x lens, and you can also do an in-sensor crop 6x, which is about 140 millimeter, and it looks pretty good. I think these images here will hold up against even the slab flagship phones. They're really good, and I actually prefer the images captured by the Oppo Find N6 over the Honor Magic V6. I do think Oppo has a little bit better consistent colors and lighting, whereas the Honor can still be a little bit hit and miss, and I like some of the picture profiles here better than on the Honor. But the Honor has a couple of areas where it's better. Noticeably, the Honor Magic V6 has a little bit larger battery, 6,660, whereas here is 6,000. And I also think the Honor Magic V6's hinge, it's a little bit more comfortable in my hands because it's curved in the corners, whereas here the corners are a little bit pointy. Now they're not as bad as a Samsung hinge, like that's like very uncomfortable to hold, but this guy, still a little bit more pointier than I like. I wish it could be a little bit rounded so it nestles into my left palm a little bit easier. Now as for the software front, this guy runs Android 16 with ColorOS on top. I've gone on record saying ColorOS is my favorite Android skin, and that remains to be true. I love ColorOS's multitasking system, which, well, a lot of other brands have since copied the system, but Oppo pioneered it. They were the first to introduce it. Oppo calls it boundless display, which basically you can run 3 apps at the same time, but they're not locked in a static grid. You notice the UI will zoom in and out in each app to give you a little bit more screen space. And look at how dynamic and flexible the multitasking is. And you can swipe in with gestures to minimize all the apps, to turn apps into floating window. You can swipe out to turn them back into this dynamic grid. It's just the most intuitive multitasking system that I have seen, and trust me, when the iPhone Foldable comes out, Apple will probably have something like this, and you're gonna see all the American reviewers gush and rave about how brilliant that multitasking system is, when people like me and other European reviewers will be like, dude, Oppo has had this multitasking system for like 3 years. And then of course, all the screen off gestures that Oppo and OnePlus have given us for like a decade now are still here. And they're all very customizable here. Like for example, you can draw a V to turn on the flashlight. This has come in handy quite a few times when I've like checked into Airbnb in a foreign country, and I don't know, I couldn't find the light switch at first, so I just draw a V on like my OnePlus 10 or like an Oppo Find N3 and immediately get a flashlight. You can draw a circle to launch a camera. I find this a little bit easier to trigger than double tapping a button. When you're playing music, you can pause the music by just drawing like a pause symbol on the lock screen. Now, these gestures are not new. They've been around at least 6, 7, 8 years now, but I love them. And whenever I go back to a phone without these gestures, I get a little bit annoyed, because why do I have to turn on the screen just to pause music? Why can't I pause it directly from a locked screen? The software also has a full suite of AI features. So all the stuff that you're used to by now, you have circle to search, because this is a global ROM, so it runs Google Circle to Search. You have Google Gemini native support. You can wake it up with voice. You have generative AI photo editing, and you have those AI features that will help you like craft a paragraph or write a sentence. I would never use those features because I think that's for very lazy and boring people. Because if you like to write, like you have to have your own voice like I do, I don't want AI to write a paragraph for me. I like to have my own tone, man. I like to have my own personality and voice in stuff that I write. So I don't care about those features, but if you do, they are there for you. Battery life, 6,000 milliamp hour. It's been really good, but not like the best battery life. So on a very heavy day, if I'm outside for like 15, 16-hour days, I will notice this guy will die at like the 13-hour mark before my day is finished. But that's like 13 hours of outside continuous use, and I'm a very heavy user. For most people, on an average day where you go to work or you're not outside for like 12, 13 hours straight, this phone will finish the day with more than enough battery to spare. And of course, this guy supports 80-watt fast charging. The charger is in the box, and it also supports wireless charging up to 50 watts. So I don't think battery life is an issue. It's definitely good battery life, just not great battery life. And the Automagic V6 does give me an extra couple of hours. But ultimately, the Oppo Find N6 is about as polished as a foldable phone can be. If you think about all the stuff we've complained about foldable phones in the past, such as it being too thick or too heavy, or the screens have a really ugly crease, or that the camera systems are very weak, all these issues have been fixed. They're virtually non-issues now. The only real complaint that you may still have with a foldable phone is the price. It's a little bit higher than a conventional slab flagship. But if you buy this from China or you import this from like Hong Kong, I'm pretty sure the price is still much cheaper than what a Galaxy Z Fold 7 will cost. But this guy, if you, well, it's not selling in Europe actually, but if you do import it to Europe, you have to pay all these markup, then it might drive up the price a little bit. But in Asia, you can pick this up for probably equivalent to about $1,300 US or $1,400 US, cheaper than Samsung's foldables, and it's better than Samsung's foldables in virtually every way, except not having Samsung DeX, I guess. So this is the Oppo Find N6. It is my favorite foldable phone so far, and if Vivo doesn't release a new foldable phone, then I don't think anyone else will top it. Well, Apple has a foldable phone coming, but we'll see. Other than the iPhone Fold, I'm not sure there will be anyone else to dethrone this guy, because Xiaomi's probably not going to release a big foldable. Honor already released their foldable, so really this may be the best foldable of 2026. So that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. It will help me a lot. I have a lot more content coming, including Vivo X300 Ultra. I'm gonna have one of the first videos on it, so stay tuned. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.